So we've been dealing a whole lot with different exponents and different roots. And this is what we call rational exponents. Rational, of course, rational numbers can be represented as a fraction, so we're talking about fractional exponents. If we have x or anything raised to some fraction, the denominator is representing the index, and the a is representing the exponent that base is being raised to. So x to the a over b is the b root of x to the power of a. If we were looking at x to the 2/3, this is the cubed root of x squared. If we're looking at 4 to the power of a half, this is the square root of 4 to the first power, and we know the square root of 4 is 2, so sometimes we can even reduce it more once we have put it in the different form, and it makes more sense to us. So let's take a look here. If we want to write this in radical form, guess what? We want to see a radical symbol. X to the 1/6 would mean we want the 6th root, because the denominator is the index, to x to the first power, so this is just the 6th root of x. If we want to write an exponential form, guess what? We need to see that rational exponent. Well, we see that it's z to the first power, and we're taking the 4th root. The index is always going to be the denominator, and the exponent that the radicand is being raised to, that is going to be our numerator. Here, I think one of the more interesting ones is the 3rd root of c to the power of -5. Well, c to the power of -5 is exactly what it looks like. We're going to use that -5. I know that the index is representing my denominator, while the exponent on the inside is representing the numerator. Finally, we can evaluate some expressions. We've got 81 to the -1/4 power. Well, first of all, we know anything raised to a negative exponent, I'm going to make that a positive exponent first by putting that in the denominator. That's 1 over 81 to the 1/4 power. So when I change this to be in radical form, this is really 1 over the 4th root of 81, because we know the denominator is the index, and the 1 on the top means this is 81 to the first power, which doesn't change that 81. The 4th root of 81 you can find, of course, you can type into your calculator. We can also do the prime factorization. This is the 4th root of 3 to the 4th power, so this is really a 3 in the denominator, so this expression simplifies out to be 1/3. Over here, 216 to the 2/3 power. 216 to the 2/3 power, this would be the cubed root of 216 squared. 216, I know, is 6 cubed, so this is 6 cubed squared here. That's the 3rd root of 6 to the 6th power. And how many groups of 3 6s do I have? I have 2 groups of 3 6s, and 6 squared is 36. So there's some rational, some fractional exponents for us. Very helpful to be able to switch between the 2 different forms to go from a rational exponent to a radical symbol, or vice versa.